Lewis Hamilton thought he knew what winning meant. 7 Formula One World Championships, over 100 race victories, fame, fortune, and a place in racing history forever. But one text message from his past would teach him that some victories can't be measured in trophies. Maya Chun hadn't spoken to Lewis since they were 17 years old, madly in love at John Henry Newman Catholic School in Stevenage. Now she was calling with an impossible request that would force Lewis to choose between the 8th championship he'd dreamed of his entire life and a secret that would change everything he thought he knew about himself. The favor Maya asked for would spark the biggest controversy of Lewis's career. Sports fans around the world would debate whether he was a hero or a quitter. The media would tear apart every detail of his personal life. His own team would question his commitment, but none of that would matter when Lewis discovered the truth about what Maya really needed from him. Some answers are worth any controversy. Some favors change everything. This is the story of the phone call that taught Lewis Hamilton what it really means to be a champion. The champagne was still cold in Lewis Hamilton's hand when his phone buzzed on the marble counter of his Monaco apartment. He had just won the 2024 Las Vegas Grand Prix 3 hours ago, and his penthouse was full of people celebrating. Music played loud. His team from Mercedes laughed and talked about the amazing race. Everyone was happy. Lewis looked at his phone. The number was from England, but he didn't know it. He almost didn't read the message. Then something made him look closer. "Lewis, it's Maya Chun from John Henry Newman School. I know it's been 25 years, but I need your help. My daughter is dying, and you're the only one who can save her. Please call me." The champagne glass slipped from Lewis's fingers. It crashed on the floor, but he didn't hear it. All the noise in the room seemed to disappear. His heart started beating fast. Maya Chun, he hadn't heard that name in 25 years. But reading it now, everything came back like a movie playing in his head. Maya Chun with her long black hair and bright smile. Maya Chun, who sat next to him in math class at John Henry Newman Catholic School in Stevenage. Maya Chun, who was the first girl to kiss him behind the science building when they were both 16 years old. Maya Chun, who believed in his crazy dream of becoming a Formula One driver when everyone else thought he was just a kid playing with toy cars. "Lewis? You okay, mate?" His friend Marcus touched his shoulder. Lewis looked up. The party was still going on around him, but he felt like he was in a different world. "Yeah, I'm fine," Lewis said, but his voice sounded strange. "I just need to make a phone call." He walked to his bedroom and closed the door. The noise from the party became quiet. Lewis sat on his bed and read the message again, that my daughter is dying, and you're the only one who can save her. What did that mean? How could he save someone's daughter? And why was Maya calling him after all these years? Lewis remembered the last time he saw Maya. It was July 2000. He was 17 and had just been offered a chance to join the McLaren Young Driver program. It meant leaving school early. It meant leaving everything behind to chase his dream of racing in Formula One. Maya had cried that day. They were sitting in his old Ford Escort in the parking lot behind their school. The summer sun was setting, and everything felt like it was ending. "You're really leaving?" she had asked. "I have to," Lewis had said. "This is my only chance. If I don't take it now, I'll never become a Formula One driver." Maya had nodded, but tears were running down her face. "I know you have to go. I just wish things were different. We can still talk. We can still be together," Lewis had said, but they both knew it wouldn't work. Lewis would be traveling all over the world. Maya would be finishing school and going to university. They were just 17 years old, but they knew this was goodbye. "Promise me something," Maya had said that day. "What?" "Promise me you'll remember that someone believed in you from the beginning. Someone knew you were special before the whole world found out." Lewis had promised. Then he had kissed her one last time and driven away. Now, 25 years later, he was 39 years old and one of the most famous racing drivers in the world. He had won 7 Formula One World Championships. He had raced in over 300 Grand Prix races. He lived in Monaco and had more money than he could ever spend. But he had never forgotten Maya Chun. Lewis picked up his phone with shaking hands. He dialed the number from the message. It rang once, twice, 3 times. "Hello." The voice was older now, but he knew it immediately. "Maya." There was silence on the other end. Then he heard her take a deep breath. "Lewis, thank you for calling. I wasn't sure you would. Of course I called. Your message? What's happening?" What's wrong with your daughter? Maya's voice was quiet and sad. Her name is Lily. She's 12 years old, and she has cancer. A very bad kind of cancer. She needs help, Louis. The doctors say she needs a bone marrow transplant, but they can't find anyone who matches her blood type. Louis felt sick. A 12-year-old girl with cancer. He couldn't imagine how Maya must feel. That's terrible, Maya. I'm so sorry, but I don't understand. How can I help? Do you remember when we were in school? You cut your hand in woodworking class, and they took you to the nurse's office. Louis remembered. He had been making a birdhouse, and the saw slipped. His hand was bleeding everywhere. The nurse said you had a special blood type, Maya continued. She said you were a universal donor. That means your blood can help anyone. Louis remembered that too. The nurse, Mrs. Patterson, had made a big deal about it. She said he should always remember his blood type because it could save lives someday. I remember, Louis said. Louis, I know this is crazy. I know we haven't talked in 25 years, but the doctors have looked everywhere for a donor. They've checked all the bone marrow registries in Europe and America. They can't find anyone who matches Lily's blood type well enough. Maya's voice broke a little. You might be her only chance. Louis stood up and walked to his window. Outside, he could see the lights of Monaco and the dark Mediterranean Sea. His life was perfect. He had everything he had ever wanted, but a little girl named Lily was dying. Where are you? Louis asked. London. We're at Great Ormond Street Hospital. Louis knew that hospital. It was famous for treating sick children. I'll be there tomorrow, Louis said without thinking. Louis, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Send me the address. I'll be there as soon as I can. Thank you, Maya whispered. Thank you so much. Louis was about to hang up when Maya spoke again. Louis, there's something else I need to tell you. Something important, but not over the phone. When you come tomorrow, we need to talk. The phone went quiet. Louis stared at his reflection in the window. In the background, he could hear his friends still celebrating his victory in Las Vegas. But all he could think about was Maya's words, there's something else I need to tell you. What could be so important that she couldn't say it over the phone? And why did her voice sound so scared when she said it? Louis had a feeling that tomorrow would change everything. Louis couldn't sleep that night. He lay in his bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Maya's voice on the phone. She sounded so different from the girl he remembered. Older, tired, and scared that he got up early and packed a small bag. His private jet was ready at Nice Airport by 7 a.m. During the 3-hour flight to London, Louis tried to imagine what Maya looked like now. Was her hair still long and black? Did she still have that bright smile that made everyone in their class turn around? Most importantly, what was the something else she needed to tell him? Louis landed at London City Airport at 11 a.m. A car was waiting to take him to Great Ormond Street Hospital. As they drove through London traffic, Louis felt nervous. His hands were sweaty, and his heart was beating fast. He hadn't felt this nervous since his first Formula One race. The hospital was a big red brick building in the middle of London. Louis had seen it on TV many times during charity events, but he had never been inside. As his car pulled up to the entrance, he saw something that made his stomach drop. Reporters, at least 20 photographers and journalists were standing outside the hospital. Someone had told them Lewis Hamilton was coming. As soon as they saw his car, they started running toward him. Louis, are you here to visit a sick child? Is this about a charity event? Are you related to someone in the hospital? Louis put on sunglasses and walked quickly through the crowd. Hospital security guards helped him get inside. The lobby was busy with families and doctors, but it was quiet compared to the chaos outside. Mr. Hamilton, a young nurse approached him. I'm Sarah. Dr. Chun is waiting for you on the 7th floor. Dr. Chun. So Maya had become a doctor. Louis wasn't surprised. She had always been the smartest student in their class. The elevator ride to the 7th floor felt like it took forever. Louis looked at himself in the mirror. He was wearing jeans and a simple white shirt. He wondered if he looked older too. Maya, the way she had sounded older on the phone. The elevator doors opened, and Louis stepped into the children's cancer ward. The walls were painted with bright colors and cartoon characters. But Louis could see the sadness in the eyes of the parents sitting in the waiting area. Some were crying quietly. Others just stared at nothing. Louis. He turned around, and there she was. Maya Chen looked different, but Louis knew her immediately. Her black hair was shorter now, cut just above her shoulders. She wore a white doctor's coat over dark blue scrubs. There were small lines around her eyes, and she looked tired. But when she smiled, Louis saw the same girl he had fallen in love with 25 years ago. "Hi, Maya," Louis said quietly. They stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. Then Maya walked over and hugged him. It was a quick, careful hug, but Louis felt something he hadn't felt in years. It was like coming home. "Thank you for coming," Maya said. "I know this is strange. I know you have a million other things to do." "Nothing is more important than this," Louis said, and he meant it. Maya led him down a hallway lined with pictures drawn by children. Some were of flowers and animals. Others showed families holding hands. Louis noticed that many of the pictures were signed by kids who were patients in the hospital. "I need to tell you about Lily," Maya said as they walked. "She's been sick for 8 months. At first, we thought it was just tiredness from school, but then she started getting bruises that wouldn't heal. She was always cold, even in summer." Louis listened carefully. He could hear the pain in Maya's voice. The doctors did tests and found out she has T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It's a type of blood cancer that affects children. She's been having chemotherapy, but it's not working well enough. They stopped outside a room with a window. Through the glass, Louis could see a young girl lying in bed. She was thin and pale, with no hair. But she was awake and drawing something on a piece of paper. "That's Lily," Maya said softly. Louis stared at the girl. She was small for 12 years old, but there was something about her face that looked familiar. The shape of her eyes, maybe, or the way she held her head when she was concentrating. "Can I meet her?" Louis asked. Maya nodded. "She's been so excited since I told her you were coming. She knows who you are. She's watched every race you've ever won on television." They walked into the room. Lily looked up from her drawing and smiled. Even though she was sick, her smile was bright and beautiful. "You're Louis Hamilton," she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "And you're Lily," Louis said, walking over to her bed. "I heard you're a very brave girl." Lily laughed. "I don't feel brave. I feel scared most of the time." Louis sat down in the chair next to her bed. "You know what? I feel scared before every race. But being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going even when you are scared." Lily looked at the drawing she was working on. It was a picture of a race car with the number 44 on it. "Louis's number. I drew this for you," she said, holding up the paper. "It's you winning the championship." Louis felt his eyes fill with tears. "It's beautiful. Thank you. Mom says you might be able to help me get better," Lily said. "She says you have special blood." Louis looked at Maya, who was standing by the window. "That's what we're going to find out. The doctors are going to do some tests on me today. Will it hurt?" Lily asked. "Maybe a little," Louis said honestly. "But if it helps you get better, it will be worth it." Lily nodded seriously. "I want to get better so I can watch you race in person someday." "I promise you will," Louis said. A doctor came into the room. She was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and gray hair. "Mr. Hamilton? I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell, Lily's oncologist. Thank you for coming." Louis stood up and shook her hand. "What do you need me to do?" "We need to take some blood samples for testing. It will take a few hours to get the results. But I have to warn you about something." Dr. Mitchell looked serious. "Even if you are a match, the bone marrow donation process is not easy. You would need to take medication for several days before the procedure. The donation itself can be painful and requires recovery time." Louis nodded. "I understand. There's something else," Dr. Mitchell continued. "I know you have racing commitments. The timing might not be good for your career." Louis looked at Lily, who was listening to every word. Then he looked at Maya, who was holding her breath. "My career can wait," Louis said. "This little girl can't." Dr. Mitchell smiled. "Let's go do those tests then." As they were leaving the room, Maya took Louis's arm. "Louis, before we go, I need to talk to you alone. Remember what I said on the phone? About something else I need to tell you?" Louis nodded. His heart started beating faster again. "Let's go to the family room," Maya said. "There's something about Lily that you need to know. Something that changes everything." They walked down the hallway together. Louis had thought Maya's phone call was the biggest surprise of his life. But he was about to discover that the real surprise was just beginning. Maya led Louis to a small quiet room at the end of the hallway. It was called the family room, and it had comfortable chairs and soft lighting. This was where doctors talked to families about difficult things. Louis could feel the sadness in the room from all the hard conversations that had happened here. Maya closed the door and sat down across from Louis. Her hands were shaking. Lewis, what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything, she said. I should have told you years ago, but I was scared. I was young and stupid and scared. Lewis felt his heart pounding. Maya, what is it? Maya took a deep breath. Lily isn't just any sick child who needs your help. She's your daughter, Lewis. Lily is your daughter. The words hit Lewis like a punch to the stomach. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. What? He whispered. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you left for your racing career, Maya said, tears starting to fall down her face. I was 17 years old. I didn't know what to do. Lewis stared at her. You were pregnant? With my baby? Yes. I took the test 3 times because I couldn't believe it. But it was true. I was going to have your baby. Lewis stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the London streets full of people living their normal lives. But his life had just been turned upside down. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, his voice shaking. Because I knew what it would do to you, Maya said. You had just gotten your big chance with McLaren. You were going to live your dream. If I had told you about the baby, you would have given it all up to come home. You would have married me and gotten a regular job, and you would have spent your whole life wondering what could have been. Lewis turned around to face her. That should have been my choice to make. I know, Maya said, crying harder now. I know that now. But I was 17 and scared. I thought I was protecting you. I thought I was protecting our baby too. So what did you do? Lewis asked. I finished school while I was pregnant. I told my parents the baby was from a boy at another school who moved away. They were disappointed, but they helped me. When Lily was born, I was 18 and about to start university. Lewis sat back down. His legs felt weak. You had the baby. You had my baby. She was beautiful, Lewis. She looked just like you when she was born. She had your eyes and your stubborn chin. Maya smiled through her tears. I named her Lily because you always said your favorite flowers were the white lilies in your mother's garden. Lewis remembered. He had told Maya that when they were 16, sitting by the river behind their school. But you're married, Lewis said, confused. You said her last name is Wilson. I met James when Lily was 2 years old. I was in medical school, and he was a student doctor. He knew about Lily's real father from the beginning. I told him the truth because I didn't want to start our relationship with lies. Maya wiped her eyes. James is a good man, Lewis. He said he didn't care who Lily's biological father was. He said he would love her like his own daughter. And he has. For 10 years, he has been the best father any girl could ask for. So why tell me now? Lewis asked. Because she's dying, Lewis. My little girl is dying, and I realized that she might never get the chance to know her real father. James and I talked about it, and we decided that wasn't fair to you or to her. Lewis felt like he was in a dream. A few hours ago, he was celebrating winning a race. Now he was sitting in a hospital learning that he had a 12-year-old daughter with cancer. Does she know? Lewis asked. No, we've never told her. She thinks James is her biological father. We were waiting until she was older to explain everything. But now she might not get older, Lewis finished. Maya nodded. The doctors say she has maybe 6 months if the transplant doesn't work. Maybe less. Lewis put his head in his hands. I can't believe this. I have a daughter. I have a daughter who is dying. Lewis, I know this is overwhelming. But there's more. Lewis looked up. More? The blood test results came back an hour ago. Dr. Mitchell called me while you were talking to Lily. You are a perfect match for bone marrow donation. Perfect. Like the test was designed by God himself. Lewis felt a strange mix of relief and fear. That's good news, right? It's wonderful news for Lily. But Lewis, there's a problem. Maya pulled out her phone and showed him a text message. It was from someone named Toto. Heard the news about you being at a hospital. Call me immediately. Championship is on the line. Lewis recognized the number. It was Toto Wolff, his team boss at Mercedes. How does he know I'm here? Lewis asked. The reporter's outside. Someone took pictures of you going into the hospital. It's already on the internet. The whole world knows Lewis Hamilton is at Great Ormond Street Hospital. Lewis felt sick. They're going to find out about Lily. Probably. But Lewis, there's something else. Dr. Mitchell told me that the bone marrow donation process takes time. You would need to take special medication for 5 days before the procedure. Then the donation itself takes several hours. After that, you would need at least a week to recover. Lewis understood the problem immediately. The championship. You're only 12 points ahead of Max Verstappen with 3 races left. If you miss even 1 race, I could lose the championship, Lewis said. His phone started ringing. It was Toto Wolff. Lewis, where are you? The press is saying you're at a children's hospital. What's going on? Toto, I can't talk right now. I'll call you back. Lewis, we have the team meeting tomorrow morning. The Brazilian Grand Prix is in 10 days. You need to be there. Lewis looked at Maya, who was watching him with worried eyes. Then he thought about Lily in her hospital bed, drawing pictures of race cars. I'll call you back, Lewis said and hung up. Maya was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Lewis, I didn't call you to ruin your career. If you need to go back to racing, I understand. We can find another way to help Lily. No, Lewis said firmly. There is no other way. You said I'm a perfect match. But your championship, Maya, I've won 7 championships. I've lived my dream for 25 years. But I've never been a father. I've never had the chance to save my daughter's life. Lewis stood up. I'm going to do the bone marrow donation. I'm going to save Lily. And I'm going to tell her who I really am. Lewis, are you sure? This could end your racing career. Maybe. But maybe some things are more important than racing. Maya started crying again. I'm so sorry, Lewis. I'm sorry I kept this from you. I'm sorry I ruined your life. Lewis walked over and hugged her. You didn't ruin my life, Maya. You gave me the greatest gift in the world. You gave me a daughter. They held each other for a moment. 2 people who had loved each other long ago and were now connected forever by their child. We should go tell Dr. Mitchell that I'm ready to start the process, Lewis said. What about your team? What about the championship? Lewis's phone rang again. This time it was a number he didn't recognize. Mr. Hamilton? This is Rebecca Thompson from Sky Sports News. We understand you're at Great Ormond Street Hospital. Can you comment on reports that you're there to visit a sick child? Lewis hung up without answering. Then he turned off his phone. The media is going to go crazy, Maya said. Let them, Lewis said. I have more important things to worry about now. As they walked back toward Lily's room, Lewis realized that Maya had been right. This was going to change everything. But for the first time in his life, he was about to do something that mattered more than winning races. He was about to save his daughter's life. It'd be why the time Lewis and Maya returned to Lily's room, the world had exploded. Lewis turned his phone back on and immediately saw 47 missed calls and 128 text messages. The first few were from Toto Wolff, then his publicist, then his manager, then journalists from every major news outlet in the world. Maya's phone was buzzing too. Oh no, she said, looking at her screen. Someone found out where I live. There are photographers outside my house in Hertfordshire. Through the window of Lily's room, they could see that the crowd of reporters outside the hospital had grown from 20 to at least 50. News vans with satellite dishes were parked on every nearby street. Mom, Lily looked confused and scared. Why are there so many people outside? Are they here because of Mr. Hamilton? Maya sat on the edge of Lily's bed. Yes, sweetheart. Mr. Hamilton is very famous, so the news people want to know why he's here. Are you in trouble? Lily asked Lewis. Lewis smiled and sat down in his chair. No, I'm not in trouble. But sometimes when famous people do things, everyone wants to know about it. Dr. Mitchell came into the room looking worried. Mr. Hamilton, I need to speak with you. The hospital is being overwhelmed with media requests. They want to know if you're donating bone marrow and to whom. We haven't told anyone anything, Lewis said. I know, but someone leaked information that you're here for a potential bone marrow donation. The reporters are putting pieces together. Lewis's phone rang. It was his publicist, Sarah Jenkins. Lewis, I need you to come to the Mercedes factory immediately. We're calling an emergency press conference. I can't leave right now, Sarah. Lewis, the rumors are getting crazy. Some outlets are saying you have a secret child. Others are saying you're sick yourself. We need to control this story before it destroys your career. Lewis looked at Maya and Lily. What if I don't want to control it? What if I want to tell the truth? The truth? Lewis, what truth? What's really going on? Lewis made a decision that would change everything. Schedule the press conference for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'll be there. What are you going to say? The truth. He hung up before Sarah could ask more questions. Meanwhile, the news was spreading across the internet like wildfire. Lewis checked social media on his phone and saw headlines that made his heart race. Lewis Hamilton's secret hospital visit. F1 champion in medical emergency. Hamilton's mysterious daughter. Someone had taken a photo of Lewis and Maya hugging in the hallway. The picture was blurry, but you could see them clearly. Another photo showed Lewis talking to Lily through her room window. "Mom, look at this," Lily said, holding up Maya's tablet. She had found a news article with the headline, "Lewis Hamilton's love child dying in hospital." Maya grabbed the tablet quickly, but it was too late. Lily had read it. "What does love child mean?" Lily asked. Maya and Lewis looked at each other. Neither knew what to say. "It means a child whose parents loved each other very much," Lewis said carefully. Doctor Mitchell cleared her throat. "I think we need to move Lily to a private room. The media attention is disrupting the entire hospital." 20 minutes later, they moved Lily to a room on the top floor, away from the windows facing the street. But even here, they could hear the noise from the crowd outside. Lewis's phone rang again. This time it was Max Verstappen, his biggest rival in Formula One. "Lewis, man, what's going on? The news is saying crazy things." "Max, I can't really talk about it right now. Listen, I don't know what's happening, but if you need time away from racing, the sport will understand. Family comes first." Lewis was surprised. Max was fighting him for the championship, but he was being kind and respectful. "Thanks, Max. That means a lot. Just take care of yourself, okay? And if there's anything I can do to help, let me know." After Max hung up, Lewis felt a little better. But then he saw a new headline that made his stomach hurt. "Hamilton abandons team for secret family." The article was mean and angry. It said Lewis was being selfish. It said he was hurting his team and disappointing his fans. It said real champions never give up, no matter what. Maya read the article over his shoulder. "Lewis, maybe this isn't worth it. Maybe you should go back to racing. We'll find another way to help Lily." "No," Lewis said firmly. "These people don't understand what's important." But more articles kept coming. Some supported Lewis, but many were critical. Social media was split. Some fans praised him for putting family first. Others accused him of lying about having a secret daughter just to get attention. The worst part was that some articles included details about Maya's life. They had found out where she worked, where she went to university, even where she grew up. They published photos of her house with reporters standing outside. "This is horrible," Maya said, reading her phone. "They're saying I'm a gold digger who's trying to use Lewis for money. That's not true, and everyone who matters knows it," Lewis said at 6 p.m. Lewis's teammate George Russell called. "Lewis, I just wanted you to know that the whole team supports you. Whatever you're going through, we're here for you." "Thanks, George. That means everything. Toto asked me to tell you that your seat will be waiting for you whenever you're ready to come back, even if it's not this season." Lewis felt tears in his eyes. "You might have to carry the team for a while. I'm ready for that. Just take care of your family." By 8 p.m., the story had become international news. Lewis watched a news program where experts debated whether he was making the right choice. "Lewis Hamilton has always been a role model," said one commentator. "If he's putting family first, then he's teaching young people the right values. But he has a responsibility to his team and his fans," argued another. "You can't just abandon your commitments because of personal problems." The debate made Lewis angry. These people didn't know anything about his situation, but they felt qualified to judge him. The breaking point came at 9 p.m. when Lewis saw a news van parked outside Lily's school. Reporters were interviewing Lily's classmates and teachers, asking about the mysterious sick girl. "This has gone too far," Lewis told Maya. "They're bothering children now." Dr. Mitchell came back into the room with news. "Mr. Hamilton, I've spoken with the hospital administration. They're willing to do the bone marrow donation procedure here, in complete privacy. But we need to start the preparation process tomorrow morning if we're going to help Lily." Lewis looked at his calendar on his phone. Starting tomorrow meant he would definitely miss the Brazilian Grand Prix in 8 days. Missing that race would probably cost him the championship. But looking at Lily, who was tired and scared by all the attention, Lewis knew he had already made his choice. "Let's start tomorrow," he said. Maya squeezed his hand. "Are you sure?" Lewis looked at the news on his phone one more time. The headlines were getting worse. His fans were arguing with each other. His reputation was being torn apart. But then he looked at Lily, who was drawing another picture despite everything happening around her. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," Lewis said. Tomorrow, he would face the biggest media storm of his career. He would tell the world that Lily was his daughter. He would announce that he was choosing her life over his championship dreams. And he knew that no matter what anyone said about him, He was making the right choice. The next morning at 10 a.m., Lewis stood in front of 50 journalists at the Mercedes factory in Brackley. The room was packed with cameras and microphones. Everyone wanted to hear what Lewis Hamilton had to say about his mysterious hospital visit. Toto Wolff sat beside him, looking worried but supportive. Lewis had told him everything an hour before the press conference. Toto had been shocked, but he immediately said the team would support Lewis no matter what. "Ladies and gentlemen," Lewis began, his voice steady but emotional. "Yesterday I learned that I have a 12-year-old daughter named Lily. She has cancer, and she needs a bone marrow transplant to save her life. I am a perfect match for the donation." The room exploded with questions, but Lewis held up his hand. "I am taking time away from racing to undergo the medical procedure that will help save my daughter's life. This means I will miss the Brazilian Grand Prix next week and possibly more races. I know this hurts my chances of winning the championship." A journalist shouted, "Lewis, why didn't you know about your daughter before now?" "That's a private family matter," Lewis said. "What matters now is that she needs help, and I'm going to give it to her." Another reporter asked, "Are you abandoning your team and your fans?" Lewis felt angry, but he kept his voice calm. "I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm being a father. Family comes first, always. If you can't understand that, then you need to look at your own values." The room went quiet. Several journalists looked uncomfortable. "I will return to racing when my daughter is healthy," Lewis continued. "Until then, George Russell will carry the team, and I know he'll do an amazing job." After the press conference, Lewis drove straight back to Great Ormond Street Hospital. The crowd of reporters outside had grown even bigger, but Lewis walked through them without stopping to answer questions. Inside the hospital, Dr. Mitchell was waiting with the medication Lewis needed to take before the bone marrow donation. "These pills will help your body produce more bone marrow cells," she explained. "You'll need to take them for 5 days. You might feel tired, and your bones might ache a little." "Will it hurt?" Lewis asked. "Some people feel like they have the flu, but everyone reacts differently." Lewis took the first pills and then went to see Lily. She was in her new private room, watching his press conference on television. "I saw you on TV," she said when he walked in. "You told everyone I was your daughter." Lewis sat down beside her bed. Maya and James were there too. James looked nervous but kind. "How do you feel about that?" Lewis asked Lily. "I'm confused," she said honestly. "Dad has always been my dad." She looked at James. "But Mom says you're my biological father. What does that mean?" Lewis looked at James, who nodded encouragingly. "It means that you have 2 dads who love you very much," Lewis said. "James has been your dad every day for 10 years. He's the one who taught you to ride a bike and helped you with homework and hugged you when you were scared. That makes him your real dad." James smiled and took Lily's hand. "But I'm your biological father," Lewis continued. "That means you came from me and your mom. We made you because we loved each other very much when we were young. So I have 2 dads." Lily asked. "Yes, and you're the luckiest girl in the world because of it." Lily thought about this for a moment. "Does this mean you'll stay with us now?" Lewis felt his heart break a little. "I'll be here as much as I can. But James is still your everyday dad. Nothing changes that." "Good," Lily said. "I don't want anything to change with Dad, but I'm happy to have you too." Over the next few days, Lewis took his medication and spent time getting to know his daughter. The pills made him feel tired and achy, just like Dr. Mitchell had warned. But he didn't care about the discomfort. Lily was an amazing girl. She was smart and funny and incredibly brave. She loved to draw and wanted to be a doctor like her mother when she grew up. She had watched every one of Lewis's races and could remember details about wins from years ago. "Do you think I could learn to drive a race car?" she asked one afternoon. "When you're older and completely healthy, I'll teach you myself," Lewis promised. On the 3rd day, Lewis's phone rang. It was his manager with bad news. "Lewis, Mercedes is 12 points behind Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship now. George did his best in Brazil, but he finished 4th. If you miss the next race in Las Vegas, the team might lose millions of dollars in prize money." Lewis felt guilty. His teammates and mechanics depended on that prize money for their jobs and families. "I'm sorry," Lewis said, "but I can't leave Lily right now. I understand, but some people at Mercedes are getting worried." That evening, Lewis talked to Maya about his concerns. "Maybe I should race in Las Vegas," he said. The bone marrow donation isn't for another week. I could fly there for the weekend and come back. Lewis, the doctors said you need to rest while taking the medication. Flying around the world and racing would be dangerous for you and for Lily. But my team, your team will understand. And if they don't, then they're not the right team for you. James joined the conversation. Lewis, I've been watching you with Lily for 3 days. You're already a wonderful father. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for putting your daughter first. On the 4th day, Lewis received an unexpected visitor. Max Verstappen came to the hospital. I wanted to see how you were doing, Max said. And I brought something for Lily. He handed Lewis a signed Red Bull Racing helmet with a note that said, For Lily, get well soon. From your dad's biggest rival, Max. Lewis was touched. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. What you're doing is bigger than any championship. You're showing the world what really matters. Max stayed for an hour and talked to Lily about racing. She was excited to meet another Formula One driver. And Max was patient and kind with all her questions. After Max left, Lily said to Lewis, He seems really nice. Are you friends? We're competitors on the track, but we respect each other, Lewis explained. Sometimes the people you race against become the people you care about most. On the 5th day, Lewis took his last dose of medication. Tomorrow would be the bone marrow donation procedure. Dr. Mitchell explained that it would take several hours and that Lewis would need to stay in the hospital overnight. Are you nervous? Maya asked him that evening. A little, Lewis admitted. But mostly, I'm excited. Tomorrow I get to save my daughter's life. Lily was nervous too. What if something goes wrong? Nothing will go wrong, Lewis said, taking her hand. We have the best doctors in the world taking care of us. And even if something unexpected happens, we'll face it together. Promise. I promise. That night, Lewis couldn't sleep. He thought about his racing career and the championship he was probably going to lose. For a moment, he felt sad about it, but then he thought about Lily's smile and her drawings and the way she said biological dad, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Lewis realized that he had spent 25 years chasing trophies and records. But tomorrow, he would do something more important than winning any race. Tomorrow, he would give his daughter a chance to live. The next morning, as Lewis put on his hospital gown and prepared for the procedure, he got a text message from an unknown number. Mr. Hamilton, you don't know me, but my son needed a bone marrow transplant 2 years ago. A stranger donated and saved his life. Today you're doing the same thing for your daughter. You're a hero. Thank you for showing the world what real strength looks like. Lewis smiled and put his phone away. He was ready. The bone marrow donation procedure took 4 hours. Lewis lay on a hospital bed while machines collected stem cells from his blood. It felt strange, but not painful. The whole time, he thought about Lily sleeping in her room 2 floors above him. Dr. Mitchell checked on him every hour. Everything looks perfect, she said. Your bone marrow cells are healthy and strong. This is exactly what Lily needs. Maya stayed with Lewis during the entire procedure. She held his hand and told him stories about Lily's childhood that he had missed. She talked about Lily's first word, which was car. She described Lily's first day of school, when she told everyone her dream was to meet Lewis Hamilton someday. She always knew who you were, Maya said softly. Even though we never told her you were her father, she was drawn to you. She watched every race. She had pictures of you on her bedroom wall. Lewis felt tears in his eyes. I missed so much. You're here now, Maya said. That's what matters. When the procedure was finished, Lewis felt tired but happy. Dr. Mitchell explained that Lily would receive his bone marrow cells the next day. Now we wait, she said. Lily's body needs to accept the new cells. It usually takes 2 to 3 weeks to know if the transplant is working. Lewis slept in the hospital that night. When he woke up the next morning, he felt weak and sore, but he wanted to see Lily immediately. She was in a special clean room for the transplant. Lewis had to wear a mask and gloves to visit her. How do you feel, Dad? Lily asked. It was the first time she had called him Dad, and Lewis's heart felt like it might explode with joy. I feel great, Lewis said. How about you? I'm scared, Lily admitted. What if your bone marrow doesn't like me? Lewis sat down beside her bed. My bone marrow is going to love you because it comes from someone who loves you. And even if it takes time to work, we'll wait together. The transplant procedure for Lily was much simpler. The bone marrow cells went through in 4 lines into her arm. It looked like she was just getting regular medicine. That's it, Lily asked when it was finished. That's it, Dr. Mitchell said. Now your body will start making new, healthy blood cells. Over the next few days, Lewis stayed at the hospital. He was recovering from his procedure, but more importantly, he wanted to be near Lily. The medication made him tired, but he spent every moment he could in her room. They drew pictures together. Lily taught Lewis how to draw flowers, and Lewis taught Lily how to draw race cars. They watched movies and played card games. Lewis told her stories about traveling around the world for racing. "What's the most beautiful place you've ever seen?" Lily asked one afternoon. "Right here," Lewis said. "This hospital room with you in it." Lily giggled. "That's silly. Hospitals aren't beautiful. This one is, because my daughter is here getting better." James visited every day after work. Lewis was amazed by how kind and generous James was. Instead of being jealous or angry, James helped Lewis learn how to be a good father. "Lily likes bedtime stories about brave princesses," James told him, "and she gets scared during thunderstorms, so you have to sit with her until they pass." "How do you not hate me?" Lewis asked one evening when they were alone. "Hate you? Why would I hate you?" "Because I'm Lily's biological father. Because Maya loved you first." James shook his head. "Lewis, being a father isn't about biology. It's about showing up every day. You've been showing up for 5 days, and you're already a great dad. Lily is lucky to have both of us." Lewis felt deep respect for James. He was a better man than Lewis had ever imagined. That on the 3rd day after the transplant, Dr. Mitchell came in with worried news. "Lily's body is having a small reaction to the new bone marrow," she explained. "It's not unusual, but we need to watch her carefully." "What kind of reaction?" Maya asked, fear in her voice. "Her immune system is fighting the new cells a little bit. We're giving her medicine to help, but the next few days will be critical." Lewis felt his heart sink. "What does that mean?" "It means we wait and hope. Sometimes the body needs time to accept the transplant. Sometimes it doesn't work." For the next 2 days, Lily was very sick. She had a fever and couldn't eat. She slept most of the time, and when she was awake, she felt terrible. Lewis never left her side. He held her hand and told her stories when she couldn't sleep. He sang her songs that his mother used to sing to him when he was young. Maya and James were there too. The 3 adults took turns sitting with Lily, making sure she was never alone. On the 2nd night, when Lily's fever was very high, she woke up and looked at Lewis with scared eyes. "Am I going to die?" she whispered. Lewis felt his heart break. "No, sweetheart. You're going to get better. I promise." "But what if the bone marrow doesn't work?" Lewis took her small hand in both of his. "Then we'll find another way. We'll never give up. You have too many people who love you." "Tell me about winning races," Lily said weakly. Lewis spent the rest of the night telling her about every victory he could remember. He described crossing the finish line in his first Grand Prix win. He talked about celebrating championships with his team. He explained how it felt to hear the crowd cheering. "But you know what?" Lewis said as the sun came up. "None of those victories felt as important as sitting here with you right now." Really? Racing trophies sit on shelves and collect dust. But being your dad is the best thing I've ever done." On the morning of the 6th day, Dr. Mitchell came in with a big smile. "Lily's fever broke during the night," she announced. "Her blood tests this morning show that the transplant is working. Her body is accepting the new bone marrow cells." Maya started crying with relief. James hugged her. Lewis felt like his legs might give out. "She's going to be okay?" Lewis asked. "She's going to be okay," Dr. Mitchell confirmed. "It will take several more weeks for her immune system to get strong, but the transplant is working perfectly." Lily opened her eyes and smiled. Weakly, "I feel better," she said. Lewis leaned down and kissed her forehead. "I told you my bone marrow would love you." That afternoon, Lewis got a phone call from George Russell. "Lewis, I heard the good news about Lily." "That's amazing." "Thanks, George. How did the Las Vegas Grand Prix go?" "I finished 2nd. We're still in the championship fight, but it's going to be close. The final race in Abu Dhabi will decide everything." Lewis felt a pang of sadness. He loved racing, and missing the end of the championship was hard. "I'm proud of you for carrying the team," Lewis said. "Lewis, there's something else. The team wants to know if you'll be ready for Abu Dhabi. It's in 2 weeks. If Lily is recovering well." Lewis looked at his daughter, who was sitting up in bed for the first time in days, coloring a picture. Let me talk to the doctors, Lewis said. And let me talk to Lily. That evening, Lewis sat with Lily and Maya and James. The doctors say I'm getting better fast, Lily said. And I heard you talking about the last race. You should go. I'm not leaving you while you're still in the hospital. But Dad, I want to watch you race. I've never seen you race in person. Maya smiled. Actually, Dr. Mitchell thinks Lily might be strong enough to travel in 10 days if she keeps improving. Lewis felt his heart start beating faster. You mean maybe Lily could come to Abu Dhabi and watch her dad race for the championship. Lewis looked at his daughter, who was smiling the biggest smile he had seen since he met her. Would you like that? He asked. More than anything in the world, Lily said. Lewis realized that maybe, just maybe, he could have both his daughter and his racing dreams. But first, he had to make sure Lily was completely healthy and strong enough. For the trip, the next 2 weeks would determine everything. Over the next 10 days, Lily got stronger every day. Her fever stayed gone. She started eating real food again instead of just liquids. Most importantly, her blood tests showed that Lewis's bone marrow was working perfectly in her body. She's making healthy blood cells for the first time in months. Dr. Mitchell told Lewis and Maya. The cancer cells are disappearing. Lewis felt like he could fly. His daughter was going to live. But as Lily got better, Lewis faced the hardest decision of his life. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix was in 4 days. Lewis was currently 34 points behind Max Verstappen in the championship. With only 1 race left, Lewis needed to win and have Max finish lower than second place to become world champion for the 8th time. That it seemed impossible. But stranger things had happened in Formula One. Toto Wolff visited the hospital on Tuesday morning. Lewis, I need to know if you're racing this weekend, Toto said gently. The team needs time to prepare. What are the doctors saying about Lily? Traveling? Lewis asked. Dr. Mitchell says if Lily continues improving, she could fly to Abu Dhabi on Friday. But Lewis, you need to understand something. Toto looked serious. Even if Lily can travel, this might not be the right time for you to race. You've been focused on being a father for 2 weeks. You haven't trained or practiced. You haven't even sat in a race car. Lewis knew Toto was right. Racing in Formula One required complete focus and perfect physical condition. Lewis felt rusty and out of practice. Maybe I should sit this one out, Lewis said. Maybe you should, Toto agreed. There will be other championships. But Lily only has 1 life. That afternoon, Lewis talked to Lily about the decision. The doctors say you're healthy enough to travel to Abu Dhabi, Lewis told her. But I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't race. Maybe we should just stay here until you're completely better. Lily looked disappointed. But I want to see you race. I've been dreaming about it since I was little. I know, sweetheart. But racing is dangerous. What if something happens to me? What if I crash? Dad, you've been racing for 25 years. You know how to be safe. Lewis smiled at how mature his 12-year-old daughter sounded. Besides, Lily continued, I want to watch you try to win the championship. Even if you don't win, I want to be there cheering for you. Maya joined the conversation. Lewis, what does your heart tell you to do? Lewis thought about it. His heart was torn. Part of him wanted to race and fight for the championship. Part of him wanted to stay safe and focused on Lily's recovery. I honestly don't know, Lewis said. James, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. Lewis, can I tell you something? When Lily was 5 years old, she made me watch one of your races. She didn't know you were her biological father, but she was fascinated by you. Really? She turned to me and said, Daddy, I wish I could meet him someday. He looks brave. I think she saw something in you that she recognized, even then. James continued, you've already shown incredible bravery by putting Lily first. But maybe the bravest thing now is to show her that you can be both a devoted father and someone who follows his dreams. That evening, Lewis called his mother, Carmen, in England. Mom, I don't know what to do. Tell me what you're thinking about. Carmen said. Lewis explained the whole situation. Carmen listened without interrupting. Lewis, when you were Lily's age, you used to say that racing wasn't just what you did, it was who you were. Has that changed? I don't know. Being Lily's father feels like who I am now. Maybe you can be both. Maybe Lily needs to see that following your dreams doesn't mean abandoning the people you love. On Wednesday morning, Lewis made his decision. He called Toto. I'm going to race, Lewis said. Are you sure? Yes, but only if Lily is healthy enough to come and watch. If the doctors say she can't travel, then I stay here with her. Understood. Dr. Mitchell examined Lily carefully that afternoon. She checked her blood pressure, her temperature, and her energy levels. She looked at her latest blood tests and talked to other doctors. Finally, she came back with her decision. Lily is healthy enough to travel, Dr. Mitchell announced. But she'll need to be very careful. She'll need to wear a mask around crowds, and she can't stay out too late. Her immune system is still rebuilding. Can she come to the race? Lewis asked. She can come to the race, but she should watch from a private area, away from big crowds. Lily jumped up and down in her hospital bed. I'm going to Abu Dhabi. I'm going to watch Dad race. That night, Lewis felt nervous and excited. He hadn't driven a race car in 2 weeks. He hadn't done any physical training. He felt out of shape and unprepared, but when he looked at Lily's happy face, he knew he was making the right choice. On Thursday morning, they flew to Abu Dhabi on Lewis's private jet. Lily wore a mask and sat by the window, amazed by everything she saw. She had never flown on a private plane before. This is incredible, Dad, she said, looking down at the clouds. Maya and James came too. James had taken time off work to support Lewis and Lily. When they landed in Abu Dhabi, Lewis felt the familiar excitement of a race weekend. The hot desert air, the sound of engines in the distance, the energy of thousands of fans arriving for the race. But this time was different. This time, his daughter would be watching the track. Lewis's Mercedes team was amazed to see how much Lily looked like him. She had his eyes and his determined expression. She's definitely your daughter, George Russell said, smiling. Toto Wolff arranged for Lily to have a special viewing area in the Mercedes garage. She would be able to see everything but stay safe from crowds. On Friday, Lewis practiced for the first time in 2 weeks. His lap times were slow. He felt rusty and uncertain. Maybe this was a mistake, Lewis told his race engineer, Peter Bonington, over the radio. No, Lewis. You just need time to remember. You're still one of the best drivers in the world. Lewis looked over at the Mercedes garage and saw Lily watching him with huge, excited eyes. She was wearing a Lewis Hamilton t-shirt and holding a sign that said, "Go Dad." Suddenly, Lewis felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. He felt like a racing driver again. On Saturday, Lewis qualified third for the race. Not perfect, but good enough to fight for the championship if everything went right. That night, Lewis sat with Lily in their hotel room. Are you nervous about tomorrow? She asked. Very nervous, Lewis admitted. What? Because I want to win for you. I want to show you that your dad is a champion. Lily took his hand. Dad, you already showed me you're a champion. Champions are people who do the right thing even when it's hard. You did that when you chose to help me instead of racing. Lewis felt tears in his eyes. How did I get so lucky to have you as my daughter? I don't know, Lily said. But I'm lucky too. As Lewis went to sleep that night, he realized something important. Whether he won or lost tomorrow, he had already won something much more valuable than any championship. He had won the love and respect of his daughter, but tomorrow he would try to win both. Race day dawned hot and clear in Abu Dhabi. Lewis woke up at 6 a.m. and looked out his hotel window at the Yas Marina circuit. In 8 hours, he would either win his 8th world championship or watch Max Verstappen win his 4th. The math was simple but brutal. Lewis needed to win the race and have Max finish 3rd or lower. If Max finished 2nd, he would win the championship by 1 point. If Max won the race, the championship would be over by 26 points. Lewis had breakfast with Lily, Maya, and James. Lily wore her special Lewis Hamilton jersey that the Mercedes team had made for her. On the back, instead of Hamilton, it said, Lily's dad. How do you feel? Maya asked Lewis. Like I'm about to race the most important race of my life, Lewis said. More important than your first championship? James asked. Lewis looked at Lily, who was carefully eating her cereal to avoid spilling on her jersey. Much more important, Lewis said. Because this time, my daughter is watching. At the track, the atmosphere was electric. Over 50,000 fans had come to watch the championship finale. The grandstands were packed with people wearing Mercedes silver and Red Bull blue. Everyone knew they were about to witness history. Lily was amazed by everything she saw. The massive grandstands, the roar of engines, the smell of fuel and rubber. Lewis walked her through the Mercedes garage and showed her how everything worked. This is where we watch your data during the race, Lewis explained, pointing to computer screens. These numbers tell us how fast you're going and how the car is performing. Can I watch from here during the race? Lily asked. You'll have the best seat in the house. Lewis promised that Lewis's teammate George Russell came over to meet Lily properly. So you're the famous Lily I've heard so much about, George said with a big smile. Your dad talks about you constantly. He does. Lily giggled. Every day? He shows everyone pictures of your drawings. He's very proud of you. Lewis felt warm inside hearing George say that. It was true. In just 2 weeks, Lily had become the most important thing in his world. Toto Wolff gathered the team for their pre-race meeting. Lewis sat with his engineers and strategists, but he kept looking over at Lily, who was coloring a new picture in the corner. Lewis, we need you to start perfectly, Toto said. You're starting third behind Charles Leclerc and Max. If you can get ahead of both of them in the first few corners, we have a chance. What about tire strategy? Lewis asked. We're going to try something different. We'll start on soft tires for a quick start, then switch to hard tires to run longer than Red Bull. Lewis nodded. It was a risky strategy, but they needed to take risks to win at 1 p.m. Lewis put on his racing suit and helmet. Before he got in the car, he went to say goodbye to Lily. I'm nervous, Dad, she said quietly. Me too, Lewis admitted. What if you crash? Lewis knelt down so he was at Lily's eye level. I've been racing for 25 years, and I've learned how to be very, very careful. I promise I'll come back safe. And what if you don't win the championship? Lewis smiled. Then I'll still be the luckiest man in the world, because I'll still be your dad. Lily hugged him tight. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. More than any championship. Lewis climbed into his Mercedes W15 car for the final time in 2024. His engineer, Peter Bonington, came on the radio. Okay, Lewis, this is it. Let's go get this 8th title. The formation lap began. Lewis drove slowly around the track, warming up his tires and checking that everything felt right. The car felt good, better than it had all weekend. As he sat on the starting grid, waiting for the race to begin, Lewis thought about everything that had led to this moment. 6 months ago, he didn't even know he had a daughter. Now she was. The reason he was here, fighting for the biggest prize in motorsport. The 5 red lights appeared on the starting gantry. Lewis gripped his steering wheel and prepared for the start of his life. Point 1 light. 2 lights. 3 lights. 4 lights. 5 lights. The lights went out, and 20 Formula One cars accelerated toward the first corner at 200 miles per hour. Lewis got a perfect start. He shot past Charles Leclerc on the inside of Turn 1 and pulled alongside Max Verstappen. For a moment, the two championship rivals were wheel-to-wheel, racing side by side. Lewis managed to get ahead by inches. He was leading the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. In the Mercedes garage, Lily jumped up and down. He's winning. Dad is winning. But Lewis knew the race was just beginning. Abu Dhabi races were often won and lost through strategy and tire changes, not just pure speed. For the first 20 laps, Lewis built a small lead over Max. His soft tires were working perfectly, giving him extra grip and speed. But Lewis knew the soft tires wouldn't last forever. On lap 22, Lewis came into the pits for his first tire change. The Mercedes crew changed all 4 tires in 2.8 seconds, one of their fastest stops of the year. Lewis came out of the pits in 3rd place, behind Max and Charles. Now he was on hard tires that would last much longer. The plan is working, Peter told him over the radio. Max will have to stop again, but you might be able to go to the end. For the next 15 laps, Lewis drove some of the best racing of his career. He passed Charles for 2nd place and started closing the gap to Max, who was still on his original tires. On lap 38, Max finally came in for his tire change. When he came out, Lewis was leading again. You're in the lead with 17 laps to go, Peter told Lewis. Max is 8 seconds behind you, but he's on fresh tires. Lewis could see Max in his mirrors, getting closer every lap. The fresh tires were making Max's Red Bull much faster. With 10 laps to go, Max was right behind Lewis. The two champions battled wheel-to-wheel for 3 incredible laps. Lewis used all his experience to stay ahead, but Max was getting closer and closer. In the Mercedes garage, Lily was so nervous she could barely watch. Maya held her hand tightly. Come on, Dad, Lily whispered. You can do it. With 5 laps to go, disaster struck for Max. His Red Bull started making strange noises, and smoke began coming from the back of the car. "I'm losing power," Max radioed to his team. "Something's wrong with the engine." Max's car slowed down dramatically. What had been a close battle for the lead was suddenly over. Lewis crossed the finish line 25 seconds ahead of the next car. He had won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and his 8th World Championship. The Mercedes garage exploded in celebration. Lily was crying with joy as Maya and James hugged her. Over the radio, Lewis heard Peter's emotional voice. "Lewis, you've done it. You're the 2024 World Champion. 8-time World Champion." Lewis couldn't speak for a moment. Then he found his voice. "Thank you, everyone. This one is for Lily. This one is for my daughter." As Lewis climbed out of his car in the winner's circle, he looked up at the Mercedes garage. Through the crowd of celebrating team members, he could see Lily jumping up and down with the biggest smile he had ever seen. Lewis had won his 8th World Championship, but more importantly, he had kept his promise to his daughter. She had watched her dad become a champion. After Lewis climbed onto the top step of the podium and held his 8th championship trophy above his head, he did something that surprised everyone. Instead of spraying champagne with the other drivers, he climbed down and walked straight to the Mercedes garage. He found Lily waiting for him with tears of joy in her eyes. "Dad, you did it. You're the champion," she shouted, throwing her arms around him. Lewis hugged his daughter tightly, not caring that thousands of people were watching and taking pictures. "We did it," Lewis said. "This championship belongs to both of us." The celebration in the Mercedes garage was different from any Lewis had experienced before. Usually after winning a championship, the team would party late into the night at expensive restaurants and clubs. But this time, Lewis asked if they could have a quiet dinner at the hotel with just Lily, Maya, and James. "Are you sure?" Toto asked. "The whole team wants to celebrate with you." "I know, and I'm grateful," Lewis said. "But the most important people I want to celebrate with are right here." That evening, the 4 of them sat on the hotel balcony overlooking the Abu Dhabi Marina. Lily had changed out of her racing jersey into a simple dress, but she wore Lewis's championship medal around her neck. "Can I keep this?" she asked, touching the gold medal. "Forever," Lewis said. "You helped me win it." Maya smiled at Lewis across the table. "I'm proud of you, not just for winning the championship, but for the man you've become." "I should have been here all along," Lewis said quietly. "You're here now," James said. "That's what matters." Lewis looked at James with deep respect. "How do you do it? How are you so kind about sharing Lily with me?" James thought for a moment. "Because love isn't something you run out of. The more people who love Lily, the luckier she is. And honestly, watching you two together makes me happy. She's getting to know a part of herself she never knew before." Lily pulled out a folded piece of paper from her pocket. "I made something for you, Dad." She unfolded a drawing she had made during the race. It showed Lewis in his race car, but instead of his usual helmet design, she had drawn a helmet covered in flowers and hearts. At the bottom, she had written, "To the best dad in the world, you are my champion." Lewis felt tears fill his eyes. "This is the most beautiful thing anyone has ever given me." "Really? Even better than the championship trophy?" "Much better. Trophies are just metal and plastic. But this drawing shows me how much you love me. That's worth more than any prize." Over the next few days, the impact of Lewis's story spread around the world. The news wasn't just about him winning his 8th championship anymore. It was about a father who chose his daughter's life over his racing career and ended up winning both. Social media was filled with messages of support. Parents shared stories about their own children's illnesses. Young racing fans wrote letters saying Lewis had taught them that family was more important than winning. Most surprisingly, bone marrow donation registrations increased by 400% in the week after the race. Hospitals around the world reported that people were signing up to help strangers, inspired by Lewis's example. Dr. Mitchell called Lewis with amazing news. "Lily's latest blood tests are perfect. The cancer is completely gone. She's officially in remission." Lewis was so happy he could barely speak. "She's really going to be okay? She's going to be better than okay. She's going to live a completely normal, healthy life." When Lewis told Lily the news, she jumped up and down with excitement. "Does this mean I can go back to school?" she asked. "In a few weeks, when your immune system is stronger," Lewis said. Does this mean I can learn to drive a race car when I'm older? Lewis laughed. If that's what you want to do, I'll teach you myself. A month later, Lewis kept another promise. To Lily, he took her to the Mercedes factory in Brackley, where she got to sit in a real Formula One car for the first time. It's smaller than I thought it would be, Lily said, trying to fit into the tiny cockpit. Everything in Formula One is about being as light and fast as possible, Lewis explained. Even the drivers have to be small and skinny. Lily looked at Lewis seriously. Dad, I've been thinking about something. What's that? I don't think I want to be a race car driver when I grow up. Lewis felt a tiny bit disappointed, but mostly curious. What do you want to be? I want to be a doctor like Mom. I want to help sick children get better, like Dr. Mitchell helped me. Lewis felt his heart swell with pride. That's a wonderful dream, Lily. You'll be an amazing doctor. Will you be sad if I don't race? Sweetheart, I'll be proud of you no matter what you choose to do. Racing is what I love, but you have to find what you love. That evening, Lewis had dinner with Maya and James at their house in Hertfordshire. It was the first time Lewis had visited the home where Lily grew up. Her room was decorated with pictures of race cars, but also with drawings she had made, science fair ribbons, and photos of her friends. She's had a good life here, Lewis said to Maya. She has. And now it's going to be even better because she has you in it too. Lewis looked around the house and realized something important. This wasn't just Lily's home. It was where his daughter had been loved and cared for every day for 12 years. James and Maya had given Lily everything she needed to become the amazing girl she was. I want to set up a foundation, Lewis announced. The Lily Hamilton Foundation. It will help families who have children with cancer. We'll pay for treatments, support research, and help families who can't afford to take time off work. That's a beautiful idea, Maya said. I want Lily to be involved in choosing how we help people. This foundation should be hers as much as mine. 6 months later, the Lily Hamilton Foundation opened its first family support center at Great Ormond Street Hospital. Lily, now completely healthy and back in school, cut the ribbon at the opening ceremony. This center will help families like mine, Lily said into the microphone, speaking to a room full of doctors, patients, and reporters. When children are sick, parents get scared and worried. This place will help them feel less alone. Lewis stood in the back of the room, watching his daughter speak with confidence and compassion. She was wearing a simple blue dress, and her hair had grown back thick and beautiful. She looked healthy and strong and absolutely radiant. After the ceremony, a young boy with cancer came up to Lily. Are you really Lewis Hamilton's daughter? He asked. Yes, Lily said proudly. And he's really my dad. Is it true that he gave you his bone marrow? It is true. And you know what? There are people out there who would do the same thing for you. You just have to keep fighting until we find them. The boy smiled and walked away looking hopeful. Lewis walked over to Lily and put his arm around her shoulders. I'm proud of you, he said. I'm proud of you too, Dad. You taught me that being strong means helping other people. Lewis looked around the room at all the families who would be helped by their foundation. 6 months ago, he had thought his greatest achievement was winning Formula One championships. But he had been wrong. His greatest achievement was sitting right next to him, healthy and happy and full of love for others. Ready to go home? Lewis asked. Which home? Lily asked with a grin. Yours in Monaco or ours in Hertfordshire? Lewis laughed. Wherever you are is home for me. As they walked out of the hospital together, Lewis realized that the text message from Maya had changed his life in the most wonderful way possible. He had gained a daughter, discovered what really mattered, and learned that the greatest victories happen outside of any racetrack. Lewis Hamilton was still a champion racing driver. But more importantly, he was Lily's dad. And that was the best thing he had ever been. 1 year later, Lewis sat in the same hospital chapel where Maya had first told him the truth about Lily. But this time, everything was different. This time, he wasn't there for an emergency. He was there to keep a promise. It was Lily's 13th birthday, and she had asked for something special. She wanted to go back to Great Ormond Street Hospital to visit the children who were still fighting cancer. She wanted to bring them gifts and tell them that they could get better, just like she had. Are you ready? Maya asked, finding Lewis in the quiet chapel. I've been thinking about something, Lewis said. About that first day when you called me. About the real reason you reached out after all those years. Maya sat down beside him. What do you mean? The bone marrow donation was real. Lily really needed it, and I really was a perfect match. But that wasn't the only reason you called me, was it? Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled sadly. You always were too smart for your own good, she said. Tell me the truth. Maya, all of it. Maya took a deep breath. The doctors had found other potential donors. Not perfect matches like you, but close enough. They would have tried those donors if you had said no. Lewis felt his heart skip a beat. So Lily might have been saved anyway. Maybe. Probably. Dr. Mitchell was hopeful about the other options. Then why did you really call me? Maya's eyes filled with tears. Because Lily was dying, Lewis. And I realized that she might die without ever knowing who her real father was. Without you ever knowing you had a daughter. Lewis stared at her. You called me because you wanted us to meet each other. I called you because I was terrified that my little girl would leave this world and you would never know that the most beautiful, brave, wonderful person had existed because of your love and mine. Maya wiped her eyes. The bone marrow donation was important. It gave Lily the best possible chance. But Lewis, I would have called you even if you weren't a medical match. I couldn't let her die without giving you both the chance to love each other. Lewis felt everything click into place. That's why you were so scared on the phone. That's why you said there was something else you needed to tell me. I was terrified you would be angry when you found out the truth. I was scared you would think I was manipulating you. Were you? No. Everything I told you was true. Lily did need help. You were the perfect donor. But Lewis, even if none of that medical stuff was true, I still would have called you. Because you deserved to know your daughter, and she deserved to know her father. Lewis thought about everything that had happened over the past year. The media storm, the championship he almost lost, the way his whole life had changed direction. Maya, are you telling me that the favor you asked for wasn't really about saving Lily's life? It was about giving us the chance to be a family. Both, Maya said quietly. It was always both. Lewis sat in silence for several minutes. Then he started to laugh. What's funny? Maya asked, confused. Do you realize what you did? You called me asking for help saving Lily's life. But really, you saved my life. What do you mean? I had everything I thought I wanted. Championships, money, fame. But I was missing the most important thing in the world. I was missing Lily. I was missing being a father. Lewis looked at Maya with gratitude. You gave me the greatest gift anyone has ever given me. You gave me my daughter. I should have given her to you 13 years ago. Maybe. But maybe we both needed to become the right people first. Maybe Lily needed to be raised by James so she could become the incredible person she is. Maybe I needed to win 7 championships so I would understand that none of them mattered as much as being her dad. Maya smiled through her tears. So, you're not angry. I'm not angry. I'm grateful. Every single day, I'm grateful that you were brave enough to make that phone call. They heard footsteps in the chapel. Lily appeared in the doorway, wearing a volunteer t-shirt and carrying a bag full of toys for the sick children. Dad, Mom, are you ready? The kids are waiting for us. Lewis stood up and took his daughter's hand. We're ready. As they walked through the hospital hallways together, Lewis thought about the controversy that had surrounded his decision a year ago. Some people had criticized him for putting family before racing. Some had questioned whether his story was real, but the criticism had faded over time. What remained was the impact of their story. Thousands of people had signed up to donate bone marrow. Families dealing with childhood cancer had found hope and support through the Lily Hamilton Foundation. Young people around the world had learned that success meant more than just winning trophies to eye in the Children's Cancer Ward. Lily moved from room to room like a bright light. She talked to each child about their drawings, their favorite movies, their dreams for when they got better. She told them about her own experience and assured them that being scared was normal, but being brave was possible. Lewis watched his daughter and realized that Maya had been right about everything. The favor she had asked for hadn't just been about bone marrow donation. It had been about giving Lily and Lewis the chance to find each other. It had been about showing Lewis what really mattered in life. It had been about transforming a successful racing driver into a complete human being. Mr. Hamilton? A young girl with no hair called to Lewis from her hospital bed. Are you really Lily's dad? I really am, Lewis said, sitting down beside her. She's lucky to have you. Lewis looked across the room at Lily, who was helping a little boy color a picture of a race car. No, Lewis said softly. I'm the lucky one. That evening, As they drove home to Hertfordshire, Lily fell asleep in the back seat. Maya sat beside Lewis in the front, and James drove. "Thank you," Lewis said quietly to Maya. "For what?" "For asking me for a favor that changed my entire life." Maya smiled. "You know what's funny? I was so nervous about calling you. I thought you might say no. What would you have done if I had said no?" "I would have found another way to tell you about Lily." Because James was right. You both deserve to know each other. Lewis looked in the rearview mirror at his sleeping daughter. Her face was peaceful and healthy, showing no signs of the illness that had brought them together. "Maya, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Do you think Lily will remember being sick? Do you think this whole experience will affect her when she grows up?" Maya considered the question carefully. "I think she'll remember that when she was scared and sick, the people who loved her showed up for her. I think she'll remember that sometimes the scariest moments in life can lead to the most beautiful ones. And I think," James added from the driver's seat, "she'll remember that she has a dad who was willing to give up everything for her." As they pulled into the driveway of the house in Hertfordshire, Lewis realized that his answer to Maya's favor had sparked a controversy that changed everything. But not in the way the headlines had suggested. The real controversy wasn't about Lewis choosing family over racing. The real controversy was about a society that was surprised when someone made that choice. Lewis had shown the world that winning meant more than coming first in a race. It meant showing up for the people you love when they need you most. Maya's text message asking for a favor had seemed like the beginning of a crisis. But it had actually been the beginning of the most important chapter of Lewis's life. The chapter where he became not just a champion, but a father. The chapter where he learned that some victories are measured not in trophies, but in the smile of a healthy child calling you dad. Lewis Hamilton had answered Maya's call for help, and in doing so, he had discovered the answer to a question he didn't even know he was asking. What was the most important thing he could ever achieve? The answer was sleeping peacefully in the back seat, dreaming whatever dreams 13-year-old girls dream, safe and loved and healthy. The answer was Lily. And that was the answer that changed everything that we'd love to know. Where are you listening from today? Drop a comment below and let us know what part of the world you're in. If this story touched your heart and showed you the power of putting family first, please give this video a thumbs up. Your likes help us reach more people with stories that matter. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring, emotional stories like this one. We share tales of courage, love, and the choices that define who we really are. And here's the most important part. Please share this video with your friends and family. Stories like Lewis and Lily's remind us that kindness, sacrifice, and love can change lives. By sharing this story, you're spreading awareness about bone marrow donation and showing others that real strength means helping the people we care about. Hit that share button and help us spread kindness around the world, one story at a time. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next story.